right, guys. So hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, for number one, when you see cotangents and tangents and sines and secants, try changing everything into sines and cosines. So by your reciprocal identity, cosecant is 1 over sine. And then when you multiply 1 over sine, remember, cosine is a fraction over 1. So you multiply straight across, that gives you a cosine over sine, which by your quotient identity is a cotangent theta. All right? Any questions on number one? Now, another one I want to do with you is go to the next page, because this will help you on tonight's homework on problem number 8. So this one, ladies and gentlemen, will help you do problem number 7 on tonight's homework. This is very similar to number 7 on tonight's homework. Yes?
I just have a question about number 8.
Uh-huh.
So, if on a test, if you don't like the part multiply, like I would say cosine theta over sine theta equals...
You have to tell me where this comes from.
Okay, so I would get a point on...
Yep. Yep. Okay. So, looking, ladies and gentlemen, at problem number 8. Problem number 8. I've been telling you all along to pick the more complicated side. But these sides look pretty equivalent, don't they? They look pretty equivalent. So this is a case where it's going to be an eeny, meeny, miny, moe. You can actually prove this one using either side. For some reason, I look at the cosecants, and I don't like to see cosecant as much as I like to see sine, so I'm going to pick the right-hand side. All right? So I'm going to work on the right. But you can certainly pick the left side and come up with it this way. So I'm going to work on the right. Now, notice what we're trying to get to. We want our fraction in our answer to be all in terms of sine. So somehow, some way, I have to rewrite all my cosecants in terms of sine. So what's the relationship between cosecant and sine? They are what of each other? Reciprocal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my reciprocal identity, and I'm going to rewrite all my cosecants as 1 over sine theta. Oh boy, something you guys love from algebra. What kind of fraction do you have here? Complex. What do you do with complex fractions? You have to simplify them. This is where you want to use that LCD trick. Multiply everything by the LCD. So look at your numerator. What is the least common denominator for all the fractions in the numerator? The least common denominator in the top would just be what? Sine. Looking at the denominator, what's your least common denominator going to be? Sine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything in this problem by a sine theta. Because what happens when you multiply 1 over sine theta by a sine theta over 1? What can you cross cancel? You can cross cancel those what? Sines. So you're left with a 1. Plus 1 times sine theta is a sine theta over 1 over sine theta times sine theta over 1. Those sine thetas cancel. That leaves me with a 1 minus sine theta. And you're done. If you do not know, ladies and gentlemen, how to simplify complex fractions using that LCD method, you better get in here for Bruin Block and after school. We use that over and over again this year and throughout calculus. It is the easiest and quickest way to deal with complex fractions. All right? So notice that what started off looking really bad, it's a 2-step one. Okay? Look at 9. This will also help you number 7 on the homework. It appears that the left-hand side is more complicated than the right, doesn't it? However, I have no idea how to get started on this. Look at the right. At least with cotangent, what can I do with cotangent? I can change that into what? Cosine over sine. So at least on the right-hand side, I kind of have a place to get started. So even though the left looks a little bit more complicated, I at least have a starting place on the right-hand side. So I'm going to change cotangent into cosine theta over sine theta. And this is my quotient identity. Another one of your favorites, you have another complex fraction. How do you simplify complex fractions? You multiply everything by the least common denominator. There is no fraction on the top. Look on the bottom. What is the least common denominator going to be for the fractions on the bottom? It's going to be a what? Sine theta. So multiply everything by a sine theta. So 1 times sine theta gives me that sine theta in the numerator. Sine theta times 1 is a sine theta on the bottom. Cosine over sine, remember sine is actually a fraction over 1. You can cross cancel the signs and you're left with a cosine theta. And you're done. So if you get a handle on those LCD tricks, simplifying those complex fractions is a lot quicker. Okay? All right. So guys, the rest of the time you have, you can go ahead and get started working on your homework.